So this episode is really an uncut interview with me and Chris. I wanted to share as much, like I said before, of the stuff we've got. So this is going to be longer. It's about 45 minutes, and it's really just kind of everything we talked about in his garage that day. So hope you guys enjoy that footage. Meanwhile, I'm here in a dreary Scottish day. And thank you guys for watching, and enjoy. I also put a link below to a GoFundMe that's to help Chris's family. Stuff like that. So thanks, and enjoy.
Was playing music, being a strength coach, being an athlete. Recently I discovered that in meditation it's the same. Meditation is a big scary word. People put a lot of
I like it.
meaning on it that shouldn't be there. All it is a moment of stillness.
You do stuff like that too, yeah?
You know, when you sit down and meditate and you go, I'm gonna do this thing where I count to 5. And I try to do this. I'm gonna think of numbers and percents and like goals and don't think. You're the guy who showed up this weekend to learn to snatch who's like, this is too hard. I didn't get it, so I'm just gonna not do it.
Snatch is stupid.
People do that with meditation. They go, I use the app and I can't get it. It's not for me. It's just too hard.
Smoke more drugs.
Meanwhile, the purpose of it is if you can make yourself still for 15 minutes in the morning. The analogy is if your mind is a flame burning, and your mind is windy with thoughts that are about what you're going to do in the future and what you did in the past, and what you suck at and what you think you're good at, and all these plans and all the noise and the multitasking and all the agendas. You can imagine a space where there's a flame and there's wind blowing, and the flame is just doing this, right? It's like camping outside and trying to heat a pot on a stove. The problem is that flame never heats the pot, because a different point is touching the pan at every point. So people live their lives.
Right.
People live their lives with a flame in their head that's wayward. If you just make the room quiet for 5 minutes, the flame goes straight and pure, and then heats the pot quickly. So a mind that is still and calm, like Alan Watts said, a pond that is still is not muddy and it reflects the sky above. A mind that is still and calm reflects pure intent, pure creative effort. If you've ever felt like you could not say what you want to say or struggled to write or felt that you weren't confident, it wasn't that you didn't have the skill and you weren't good enough. It's that you're letting a thing block the view. You let something splash in your pond. You let your flame get distracted. You're not.
That would work so good for me if I wasn't so always furious at stupid people.
Yeah. So the challenge is, if you got to where every morning you sat in complete silence and sharpened your mind, like flex it like you flex your glutes on the pitch shark. Nice. If you flexed your mind single-pointedly every morning for 30 minutes, and you did that in silence before you did anything else, and you had an attitude of thanks that you were alive and you got to do this and you got to be up early and this is dope, and you got to go on and do cool shit
no
like
invading army.
You say, I woke up today, guess what? I'm training today. Why? I get to compete in an awesome sport. And that's my job. God damn it, this is awesome, and I'm lucky, and this is great, and I'm alive, and I'm grateful. You flex your mind, you say you're grateful, you say what's important to me, what do I not need to be limited by? You do that in the morning, and what you discover is that is prayer, and it's also really hard. And if you can flex your mind like you flex your glutes, after a year's time, if you had a mind that you could fire a thought like an arrow, right where you wanted it, right when you needed it, right on time, with perfect confidence, without any fear.
Wrinkle the shit out of that
If
mind.
you can do that, then you realize that there's not much to be scared of or challenged by in your life, and you can be the amazing strength coach, amazing author, and a host, and anything you want to be, because once you can squeeze your mind on something, shit, everything else is super easy.
Yeah.
So that's what I've come to realize, that intent and silence in the morning, simple approach like that to training, like if you just did one thing, deadlifts, and you really cared, and you really gave it the intention, and you really focused your mind, and you put your flame on that bar, and for 20 minutes, nothing mattered other than loading myself and doing this the right way, because fuck, there's a right way to do something the wrong way, and I'm not going to be the guy who does it the wrong way. Like, I don't want to fix my engine in a shitty way. I don't want to cut my yard in zigzag lines, because people walk by and they go, look at this asshole. Doesn't even care enough to cut his yard straight.
Asshole.
This son of a bitch doesn't get quality. Quality applies in lifting. I'm not as strong as I could be. Tell me what I'm missing. Do you really care enough to really do the job right?
Right.
Do you rush through the job and just tie screw the screws as quick as you can, or do you get them right?
You know, and I think things like that, those type of details, right, that the quality, there has to be some balance too between that and they don't be so paralyzed with overanalysis and thinking about technique. At some point too, you've got to be willing to just do the work.
You will break your brain by thinking.
Right.
Your brain is no place for thinking and churning over problems. You got to be somewhere doing. You got to be with people, And you got to take the ideas out of your head and put them to practice and put them on a piece of paper and put them on a chalkboard. Because it's there that you can see and your friends can see, and together you can explore what's true, what's not true. And that's where discovery is. If you think about a problem, the longer you think about it, the more it's going to break you.
Right.
Knowledge is not the answer to problems. Action is the answer to any problem.
So, man, I have to say one of the things I'm really excited about is that it seems Barbell Shrugged is evolving, and it's
rapidly mutated. I get dumped with nuclear waste.
What is it? Mutagen? Was that
Mutagen.
Teenage Ninja Turtles?
Yeah,
Almost got that word out.
I hope I don't turn into the big
Master
brain guy.
Splinter.
Yeah.
No, you can't be Krang.
I wouldn't be Krang. No. Master Splinter would be intense. Let's not get into Ninja Turtle. We'll go on all goddamn day about that. I was a huge fan, man.
Who isn't?
My kids got my Bebop from 1988.
Oh no,
in there.
Rocksteady and Bebop.
Rocksteady and Bebop.
So it's really exciting to see that it's evolving. You know, that something that really started out as, I mean, y'all's backstory is what? There was a CrossFit gym in Memphis you guys opened.
It goes back deeper. Like I was always in Memphis. I played football at the University of Memphis, and I was destroyed in that sport. My back was destroyed. I had to recover and rediscover myself, so I fled into sports science. I knew strength was my passion because I quit playing football and still was around helping the guys get ready for the season while I was recovering and discovering myself in the gym. And I became a strength coach for the guys. And it was weird because at that point, I'd recovered so well. I blew out a couple discs in my lumbar spine, and then a year later, I got involved with Louis stuff and started powerlifting. I started with building my core up again. I was like, I'll just do this light speed work. Like, I'll see if I can just lift again. And then a year later, I went to my first meet, which happened to also be dumb because it was a national meet. I went to Dave Tate's 2001 IPA Nationals.
And you did
It was my
full
first
gear
ever
too,
competition.
right?
Yeah, it was my first ever competition.
I love that someone else had actually
meet.
done full gear besides me of
Yeah,
people
I've never
talked
been to a meet, dude, ever. I go, what would be the coolest thing to do? Pick out the biggest one and just do that.
Yeah.
So I sat in the audience nervously watching like Chuck Vogel pull
Yeah,
those
yeah.
guys. And I got up on stage, pulled deadlifts, and did all that stuff. And I remember the coolest moment was the first time Louis yelled at me. I was pulling my deadlift, and I got to the top. It was like a 6:33 second attempt. Long back, short little arms, troll arms. Like I was pulling this thing at the top. I'm struggling to lock it out. And my friend's going, lock it out, lock it out, lock it out, lock it out. And I finally do, and he put it down. And I walk up the stage, and Louis goes, hey, man, you got to shut your friend up. Like, don't tell him to scream out to the judges that you aren't locked out. Just tell him to shut up. I mean, that was the first time I ever met him. I go, that was Louis Simmons. Yeah.
Damn it, Chris.
Because he was, for 10 years before, he had been a hero.
Of course, yeah.
And
He's
the
Louis.
first moment you meet guys like that who had shaped your life so much and given you a little seed that you kept while you felt really weak and like nothing when you're in high school and you're discovering strength. Like, I don't know what I am, but I feel stronger, and that's good. And some guys, you can do something with your life with this. Very rudimentary. And you go, I believe that. And you know shit about anything other than the rough belief that I think that's true. And I felt that like in 5th grade and didn't have a clue about anything other than I think it's a real thing. And it kept teasing me through as I tried to be all these other things. I tried to be a corporate guy, tried to be a sports scientist. I tried to be a fucking management information system major the first year of college, which is 2 weeks into those classes. I was like, this is crazy. What is this? I felt like I was in
The only thing I knew from college is I really didn't enjoy being in college.
Yeah, it's a little
Hated it.
rough. So all these little things, but the common album was I always like strength, and I always wanted to help and teach. And if I could help somebody get a little stronger with something I discovered, then that was like this most perfect, elegant thing. And I always, like a flame, like a moth would flutter away and then come back to the light. I always came back to it. Like I hated that corporate gig for a while. What did I do? I found ways of sneaking off so I could I feel like I have to do this other thing. If I don't do it, I'm just sad. And yeah, I'm tired, and I don't want to be up to 3 a.m. writing and editing something. But if I don't do this, I'll die. I felt like in my head, like I'll feel so sick.
Well, you just end up in that loop that you see so many people do that, man, there's a stupid meme I'd seen recently, and this guy's laying in bed, and he's like, I absolutely hate all this. I guess I'll wake up and do it again tomorrow.
Yeah, and it's a weird trap people get caught into. Because I think maybe you have the expectation that there's certain things you have to do because that's what you've been told.
Sure.
And then the only fear is, like, you think maybe could I do something different? No, not me, because I can't, because I'm not like that guy. I'm not smart enough. I don't have the strength. I didn't get a sports science degree, or I can't jump that high. Who would listen to what I have to say about performance or coaching or helping?
Man,
and then that changed people. And then the liberating thing is you realize, oh shit, you know what I think? Everybody has that thought. Everybody's way more alike than you think. The guy who is super strong doesn't feel that way. Feels weaker than you. The girl who is super smoking hot in the bar would love it if you would just treat her like a human being, just talk to her, and then you walk out with her. If you're just a guy who's like, hi.
Yeah.
It's crazy in here, right? My name's Chris.
Well, sometimes
my name's
they're
Matt.
awful, too.
How are
Yeah.
you? There's some awful ones. There's people who just want to
Right.
be treated like a fucking human, and you feel the opposite of what they're projecting so hard. Somebody's projecting this, they feel opposite. So once you know that if somebody slights you or is too intense to you, or somebody who is projecting like they don't feel fear, the opposite's true, and you can resonate with that and go, well, I feel the same way. This doesn't seem to be a thing that's just me being the problem. Everybody shares this. If I overcome, I can help them do the same. Together, the tide will rise. So I started putting that together and realizing I had to put that to a test. As soon as you scratch at the fear and realize that's all it is a barrier to keep those who shouldn't from those who will, then you succeed, and then you try to lead other people across the river and greet them and show them the direction to go from there.
So you compete, you guys open a gym.
Yeah, so I got a little in the weeds. So yeah, I was competing.
It happens.
And then I still trained at the University of Memphis. I was down in the dungeon training with the weightlifters and just being part of that scene. And that's when new students were coming up. So Andy Galpin came into town with Doug. He came from Washington to kind of study sports science because they knew we did weightlifting and stuff there. You know about the good pedigree. And then, Mike was the guy who got out of the Navy and started getting into strength and weightlifting. It's like, where in Memphis can we train? Because you couldn't train anywhere, man. This is 2003, 4, 5.
Yeah, I've been in my garage the whole time because
You were lifting into, because I remember back when we were like in the days like you're on EliteFTS.com, those the peak training journal days, like we're all like geeking out.
Oh yeah, man.
Those are the times, but there was nowhere to train, no coach to help you. We had to I had to build everything. I had to set up my own racks and build weird band attachments and build weird platforms.
I had a training partner that was like, "Oh, the Wiz will figure it out."
Yeah, you had to squat out of racks.
Home Depot. Yeah.
People go into the gym now and they see these rogue racks. I'm like, you are spoiled bitches.
Yeah. Dude, I remember I tried to build a set of racks out of a 4x4 post in concrete.
Yep. Totally with you.
Concrete buckets, and then I finally found it.
And how many times did you go to a gym and you're like, this gym sucks? Why? Because the bench press peg holds. I got to lift it from here or here.
Right.
I can't train today.
Yeah.
You just leave. And
Yeah.
So those are the days. So yeah, we all started training together and building the bonds. And one thing that was immediately evident, we always, if we weren't working or studying, we would be together talking about training. It was cool and right to get together and talk.
How do we do more with this?
So
How
from
do we turn more
2005
people
till
on?
we finally launched the show in 2010, we were just guys who compulsively talked about what is cool in training and what works. Almost trying to impress and challenge each other all the time with, I found this, let's apply it. Fuck that, man, you could do better than that. Like a lab of like real aggressive experimentation, making ourselves smarter, studying, then trying to learn as many strength training lessons as possible. And then, oh, by the way, we can't really keep this up at the University of Memphis. We got to open up our own place. Let's try this shit ball place in the far off corner, a bad part of Memphis, but we can open it up. There's this CrossFit thing. We can affiliate it. CrossFit Memphis opened like in 2007. The only CrossFit gym anywhere around. It was the only place you do powerlifting. The only
Big
place you could do
surprise,
anything.
about 10 years ago.
Yeah, it was about 10 years.
Which is every single person I've met with during this trip is
Yes.
all of this basic work started.
The Robert
years ago,
Greene
man.
mastery formula of how long it takes for
Takes 10 years.
success. About 10 years. So that was 2000, and let's say we opened the gym at 2007. So I'd also before that tried 10 websites. I had written probably 40 scientific articles in my former life. At my scientific job at corporate America, I'd written 20 or 40 medical papers. So I was doing all this weird shit, and I'd blogged, and I'd written the Testosterone Nation and Elite Fitness.
Yeah, right.
I had spent before that 10 years just trying to figure out what the fuck made sense in my head. And did I have the balls to put my words on paper and show people? So I did all the work to get the tools rough, and that was the start of the 10-year time, really. I had to get my bearings, then start the 10-year clock then. Now 10 years or so of good effort was really kind of the time frame. But anyway, we thought we had the urge to say something. We thought we could and should say it to help others.
You know, and that's one of the things I like.
first
I
idea.
love addressing people that want to be empowered, that want to learn, that want to do the next thing. Like we talked a little bit about was that, I mean, know your audience and know these people that are at the beginning of the journey where you started and trying to reach them. I think, you know, it's easy for someone like, Misha Kokliev or any of them to get a big audience, they're amazing. They're such an outlier to the bell curve.
Misha's so awesome to watch.
I mean, why are people so interested in what Klokov have to say? He doesn't even speak a language that I have to say. It's just amazing to watch that guy do what he does.
Sure thing.
Right? But I love the fact that, I mean, you guys are this, I look at it as like this blue collar start, that this is just something we're passionate about, and how do we spread that knowledge to more people?
So yeah, the conditions at the start were just the love and just the thought we could say something. So the tools we use, we're talking tools.
Yeah.
Listen to this shit. We didn't even have a computer we didn't have a laptop. We didn't have money to go out and buy a laptop who has that?
You used an abacus?
CTP had an iMac.
Yeah.
And like we would go locally to a gym and interview somebody like Michelle Kinney done at CrossFit Chickasaw one year. He packed up his iMac in the back of his Prius. We drove down there and set the iMac up on a pile box in the middle of the gym and rigged up the thing. Like, that's not a very mobile, elegant
Doesn't
solution.
matter, just get it done.
That's what we had.
Yeah.
And at one point we interviewed Louis Simmons and we had the microphone set up. We didn't have pop filters, so we just put old shitty dress socks over the mics. And now we got one of the best strength coaches in the world, one of these genius eccentric minds, with a dirty sock in front of his face. But you know what?
It's not the first
we came
time.
to talk, and this is what we had.
Yeah.
And we didn't have time to go across town to the garage center. We don't have the money for that shit.
Right.
This is what we had. We came to get the message. So the message is always key. What can we say that will help people? And we've always tried, not perfectly, but tried never to duplicate, try to just keep things fresh and say new things and keep things growing. And the cool thing I'm really proud of is that we had some sponsorship at the beginning, which is cool and all, but we quickly realized that we're going to need one thing above all to be happy about this. It won't be money or success and reach.
It's integrity.
We're going to have integrity and be happy with what we say. Can we get out and say what we want to say?
Right.
And if we make a comment about pull-ups or your ass glutes or conditioning, diet, nutrition, recovery, mental game, we want you to know that we have put this shit to the test. We've lived this.
Right.
And no one paid us to say this, ever. And no one has ever funded Barbell Shrugs. It's been very tough for us, but we've taken money from no one.
That's awesome.
We've built this thing. There's a podcast, but there's also an emerging business behind it that we hope will emerge like bamboo shoots out of the ground to give people a real shot at getting accessible, cheap, trustworthy, intimate, real education, something that will really touch and pull them forward. Because my dream would be the fruit of Barbell Shrugged. Somebody listens to that show today who's like I was, 18 and could be stronger, who wonders what their life could be. They see some guys who have done something cool and they go, I could do this shit.
Right.
And then there's all this free stuff. Because education is fundamentally, I recognize that Dave Tate, Louis Simmons, Mike Stone, John Garhammer, all these dudes spent their lives bleeding.
Absolutely.
Make knowledge known. And right now you can go on, you never fucking talk shit about a coach. Guys like John Wellborn, guys like Mark Bell. These are guys who, look at Mark, man, his fucking life has been strength. Comment whatever you want about his life. His life has been bleeding. I need to get stronger because I believe in that. And if you go to him, he'll tell you everything you want to know. He's just like these guys bleed for that. And they spend their life pulling from everything and breaking their body and synthesizing all this information. And you could go to him, and he could say in an hour a lifetime of knowledge to you.
Right.
And to me, that is the most precious thing. He gave me this. My teacher gave me this. With this, look what I can do. I've got to turn around and find somebody to trade this off to. That's the only thing that matters.
I think that's a lot of stuff people miss out on, right? Wendler gained such a huge popularity because he spent 6 or 8 years on Elite's Q&A answering questions for free.
Every fucking day, dude.
Putting out Barbell Shrugged for free. You build this community and these people that back this ideal or this mission statement that you've got. And man, you get a loyal fan base of people that, how can I contribute to make this going? Recently, things are really, as far as I'm concerned, just getting started for me as far as doing the Drifta Lifta series or writing or putting information out. But I had
you should always feel that way too. Like,
it's always starting, right?
I gotta get it.
My wife and I were in San Francisco a couple weekends ago and had someone steal my backpack out of the back of our rental car.
You have all your gear in it?
Camera, laptop, hard drive, everything.
Damn, dude.
And the amount of response I got from 3 or 4 people I know that also do YouTube stuff that I've worked with in the past immediately said, dude, if you need a camera, I've got an extra one. I can send you down and use it for as long as you want. I had fans that I had one fan that started a GoFundMe immediately, and I shut him down. I was like, man, I really appreciate this. But if you want to help, go pick up something from Hate Brand Goods. You get something in return. let's save GoFundMe for people who need help.
Yeah.
This is something I'm passionate about, and I will sort it out and get back to it.
Yeah.
But man, it was such an inspiring thing to hear people that are like, we're with you, despite the quality if you're going to shoot it on your cell phone or you're shooting it this way.
Yeah.
And it was great. It was really motivating because there's a lot of times as you're pumping out that free stuff, you're wondering, is anyone listening?
Well, yeah, that's what I struggle with a lot is that, when you're in your garage staring at the sky, it seems cool. Like, yeah, I'm an artist, and I just write my ideas. And I get in front of a microphone, and I just get to talk for a living. People don't know the madness that is trying to help and never really knowing who it's reaching. And like sometimes one person will come up, hey, I love the podcast. I go, a person?
Yeah, right.
Man, thank you. Like people
you
say,
listen to that? That's
people
awesome.
say, hey, sorry, I didn't want to bug you. Like, come up and say hello because I'm just a teacher. I miss just, I want to see people like straight ideas. I'm not a podcaster. I'm not a writer. I'm not a lifter. I was never any of those things. I'm a guy who wants to connect ideas for people so they see a cool thing that I see. That's a cool job to have, and I really want nothing more.
And that's one thing I found really attractive about the stuff you guys did was that it wasn't over Skype, and there was more of an experience to it that you guys traveled and did it, and that's one of the things I've really emulated.
So hard to do.
The first time we met, we texted a couple back and forth, and I said, hey, man, I'm going to be in Memphis. I'm coming to train. We showed them the garage, and we lifted.
Yeah.
So you get so much more of a sense from someone that way, and that's the same way I've got to know Jim or any of these other people that have been huge influences.
Saw, the Frequent Flyer Tour, Henry's poster up there.
Right.
Knowledge through mileage. You got to go and see.
Dude, it's so much more important.
Take the ride, like Hunter would say.
Yeah.
Punch the ticket, take the ride, go see. And then you'll have plenty to say. People will want to know what you have to share then. The magic is going. You can't read a book about going. You got to go.
Make your own opinion about Louis or West Side or any of these other things. Go and see what it's like to smell that gym and be in there and see the intensity.
Yeah, and then you realize what matters and what doesn't.
Right. It's not the sets and reps. No. It's community and environment.
If I was going to start, I might do this later this year. If I was going to do a little seminar, here's my advice. First things first, never forget every number. Throw out all your numbers.
No matter.
Set the conditions for strength. Don't worry about getting strong. Set the conditions for strength, and strength appears. It's like, how do you make a school appear? Build the buildings you need, fill them with great people who want to teach, draw students because you put the work in, tie it together with somebody who can make sure it works together, and all of a sudden the school happens. If you try to go for the school, you'll never get it. You got to do the work to create the conditions, and that's how a system produces its outcome. So if you're living a life of a strong person or a lean person or a smarter person, a person who writes and teaches, set the conditions and aspire to be somebody who lives their life like that, and all of a sudden you will become the thing.
So in the evolution of you guys doing what you're doing, there's some big changes up. You guys are now...
Massive, yeah. You
guys have relocated out to the West Coast, which I'm jealous. One of these days it'll work out.
Even more than that, it's like we have a foothold here, still in Memphis, and also one emerging in London.
Well, this is just going to be a place your stuff lives.
Yeah. The older you get, the more you're like, and I learned this from Siddhartha, the goal of a teacher, of a Buddha, is to point the finger for people who are interested, to help, and to wander, and where there's a need for you, you should go. Because when you let go of the attachments and the things that hold you back from doing what you want to do, you slowly realize that if I really open up and go out into the world becomes mine, I become it. Nothing is removed from me, nothing is kept from me. I don't have to try to achieve and be something because I can get out and just help people. And if I do that, everything opens up the way it should. So we tried to have that ethos buried into everything we do, because I want to be very honest and say we could have done a million things to make a fuckload more money and make a lot more splash.
It's not the end game, man.
But we have officially said no to a lot of things.
Right.
Look on Barbell Shrugged, conjure up what that episode might be worth for sponsorship, and pay note that there's nothing on there for sponsorship. We're the first ones to know what it might be worth and the first ones to say, right, we don't want that. It's fucking really hard to make money without doing that. But we're working super hard to figure out a righteous way to give people the experience, like to take the Barbell Shrug thing out of the podcast and put it into other media, into education, into business stuff, where they feel the same thing and they know it's trusted, because the world can be scary and confusing. If you can latch onto a thing like I did when I found Louis and lifting, one thing you know is true, gives you all the leverage to then bounce off that and conquer.
It's amazing with, people get so attracted to, it's just great that people don't think you're selling snake oil.
No.
People will buy in, and so then they really listen. It's as though you never say the fuck word, and then once a year you say it, everyone stops and turns.
Oh, yeah. Not a problem with me.
Right, no, same here. I use it as like a pause in the middle of sentences.
Like I was like, fuck, shit. Like
Yeah.
Jan goes, Matt,
Yeah.
your kid's right here. I go, oh shit, you're right. You're like, fuck.
Yeah,
I
shit,
should,
fuck.
Fucking shit.
So you and Mike have stepped away from the podcast to pursue some other stuff and other
Well, actually not
transformation.
true. Actually not true. The cool thing is like what people know is what they should know. Like the podcast is still everything it always was, and the faces look new, but those faces have been with us for the whole time behind the scenes. So people know Alex and McGee. McGee's a games athlete.
Right.
Alex started his weightlifting journey 4 years ago when the podcast launched. He was on Barbell Shrugged episode 1 as a guy who just got into weightlifting. And the show I just shot with him was him in Reno, qualifying for the American Open, having made it to the national stage.
That's
so
great.
He told that story on
That's
that show.
great.
So he's been around. And he was a guy who abandoned his life in biotechnology and a PhD student in biomedical engineering and biomechanical engineering to be a weightlifting coach online, to podcast with us. So that's the kind of
Something you're
commitment you're
passionate
seeing. Mike McElroy wakes up every day and what's due for 3 hours or 2 hours, whatever, studies and geeks out on weight training and periodization. Study every day as a student. The best mind of periodization we could find. McGee's a monster, self-made athlete. Took himself, the chubby fat kid, to games athlete. I once saw him come into CrossFit Memphis back in 2009 or so, maybe 2010, maybe 2009. He ran the St. Jude Half Marathon in Memphis on a cold Christmas morning, like right around the Christmas holiday. Comes in, the strongmen were doing strongman stuff in the back of the gym, all trying to load a 400-pound Atlas stone we had never loaded. He comes in and says, hey, this is cool, can I try? Jumps around a little bit, stretches up, and explosively loads it. He goes, that's cool.
Run a
And then from
marathon
that
with
day
a
on,
400 step. That'll do it.
and then that day on said, if he could do that, nothing else makes sense. I have to question what's true. So that's, that's the kind of guy we turn over this show to. Then Kurt is maybe just like me, but smaller, cuter, maybe funnier, way more endearing. But these
Not
guys,
that much smaller. You're like a quarter of the size as I've seen you.
So what you're going to see on that show, we can get into that in a minute. What you're going to see on that show is just the same formula, the same thing, new takes, fresh minds who are still in the trenches and their whole day, because we have to do other things too now, business stuff and other things to keep the vision growing. They're going to passionately talk training. And then what people have noticed us playing with, like in the Aleko episode, we go to Sweden and tell the history of barbells. That is the thing we're playing with now on the other show. So
More documentary style.
Yeah, so Charlotte and I have been working really hard on the concept called full depth. Full depth like a squat.
No, I
full
love
depth
it.
like a story. And it works. But basically, we're going to take all the lessons we learned from all those years, but we're going to do deep, immersive stories with people. We're going to find people you know, and we're going to start with a topic you're interested in, strength and culture and things that resonate with you. And then we're going to take you to places that are unexpected. Lessons we've learned about overcoming fears, pulling out really deep potentials, going to exciting places, thinking about exciting new things like space. The first episode is going to be at NASA. What? So while we were at Houston, the World Championships of Weightlifting, we got clearance to do a full behind-the-scenes tour at the Johnson Space Center in Houston. Wow. So we went in, full cameras, and we got a tour of the hangar where they have all the experimental vehicles set up and all the mock-ups for training for the International Space Station. We went to the Strength Training Center. So basically, when you watch this show, it's going to feel like Barbell Shrugged, plus an immersive, like to the moon and back documentary style experience where we're going to show you what it takes to get to space and back and be strong. Because guess what? If you get in a spaceship and go to Mars, that sounds like a cool idea, right? Thank you, Elon, for giving us technology. But guess what happens if you get in a spaceship and go to Mars when you get off the ship? Your strength, your fitness, your eyesight.
Yeah, you've been on a ship for 8 months.
Your ability to function there is gone.
Yeah, you've been on a ship for 8 months and you haven't looked at anything further away than that wall.
So the interesting thing is in space, you know how they fight back against that? They've got a barbell apparatus that's very fancy. You'll learn all about it.
It's a pit shark.
But every day, a little bit, you'll see it. Every day they press and pull to max 6 days a week. Because as an astronaut, if you don't drop everything and train, literally up there, you will perish. Your skeletal system will lose a lot of function and fitness rapidly, circulation, eyesight, nervous system. Your spine elongates and weakens, so if you get to where you gotta go and you gotta do some work, you're out of luck.
Yeah.
So you're gonna leave this show learning a lot about strength from a lot of different perspectives.
And I can't wait. Really,
and
really
you're gonna see
excited
how
about
a barbell impacts our future in space. So that's the kind of wild ass shit we're gonna do on the show, and it's gonna be dope. And season 1 is gonna premiere soon. We'll do 5 of those episodes. Part 5 is gonna be with Coach Mike Berdner. Which is
it's great.
So we went and got That show culminates with a round table dinner with Mike, the Barbell Shrug dudes, a meal I cooked for all him and all his geezer buddies, and we spent 2 hours talking about life. That's going to be that show.
But that's the good stuff, right? I mean, that's the stuff.
It's the only thing that matters.
Anytime I've ever traveled, and whether I'm with any of these people in the strength community or athletes or any of that, it's the real life shit. That's always been good. It's the back and forth. It's the learning the life philosophy or any of that other type of stuff from those people that make it better. It's sharing a meal, sharing a beverage, sharing those type of things are what I love. And
that's where the real good divine experiences of life are found, between just two people, small scale. And the best stories are somebody who's just normal, doesn't quite know what they might achieve. Maybe they have realized it. They have something they've earned. They've carved out a place for themselves. The interesting story is not by learning what some famous person does. It's by it's like Jiro dreaming of sushi. How you say it? Jiro dreaming of sushi. Like, this guy never heard of.
Dream of Jiro.
Giving his life to this one thing.
Yeah, and being a master.
That's the essence of mastery, is like nothing else. I don't care what people think of me and my ability to make rice. All I care is about making the rice. There's two ways to do anything. Like washing the dishes is a great example. This is a good Buddhist story or principle. 2 ways to do the dishes. 1 is to get the kitchen clean. 2 is to do the dishes. If you do the dishes, you have extreme happiness, joy, and increased effectiveness right here and right now. 2 ways to lift the barbell. 1 is to get it done to be strong and have people see you as being strong. The other way is to lift the fucking barbell the way it should be lifted. And if you do that, that's a condition of strength. And if you do that, guess what? You're strong enough. Everybody sees what you want them to see.
Right.
Not if you fucking shortchange the thing that matters. Screw your program. Principle 1 first. Do you care enough to do that? And forget about all this other stuff. If you can't, you're going to break your brain trying to figure out the replacement for that. There is no replacement. You'll find it in the end when you're broken, or you can listen now. But all paths lead up to the top of the mountain. You'll get there. One goes the painful route. A few go the more reasonable route. You got to learn your lessons when you can. One is put the effort and focus where it matters, and quit fucking around with this shit that's not important.
So other changes I see is you've dropped a bunch of weight. You feeling healthy?
Feeling pretty good, man. Yeah, it's like people don't know my background. When I was powerlifting, I reached a peak weight of about, it was too heavy, man. But
how heavy?
370 pounds at my peak. I'll give you a picture if you want. People really wouldn't believe it.
I feel comfortable at
They
that
think
weight.
I like when people say the fat guy on that podcast, they're seeing me at like 280, 290.
Right, they're
That's
still
not
not
the fat
seeing.
guy.
No, right.
Like I'm like, you think I'm fat now? I would not want to see the troll comments on YouTube at the 370 stage.
I lost a ninth grader.
Yeah, and ideally, really, I was probably at my best, at like strongest, like a 315, 330 as a super heavyweight powerlifter.
Yeah, but if you're around Louie at all, it's I
Yeah.
mean, that's everyone's comment. It's like, come in, like, how tall are you? You're gonna have to be 4'10".
Yeah,
like, Jesus.
and I did all right. And I was like, you know
Yeah,
what?
60-inch waist.
And here's the thing. At the time, I was like, this is worth it because I'm driven by something, right?
Right.
I want to be strong, and if I get strong, I feel that something will unfold for me. I didn't really know how or why or what. I didn't understand really what would be the cost of everything. I just was driven to. And I did all right.
And there's nothing wrong with your direction changing too. You should evolve. I can't imagine that I've had the exact same
I change
singular
aggressive,
focus, right?
I try to be different wholly day to day. I think you got to be able to tear down what you are and rebuild. Nothing will change unless you rip out and let go and detach from what was and have the courage and belief to reach out for what you want. Like Joseph Campbell says, the big test of any adult person is like, will you mature to the point where you recognize what it is you should do and will you reach out for it and tell the universe this is what you need and want out of your life? If you do that and you show that you're willing to cut away from everything holding you back, if you reach out, like you've done, like we've done, put it all on the line, really. Like really give it. Shit unlocks. It's like in Indiana Jones in The Last Crusade, when he does a little leap at the end, he steps onto like the trial of faith. Like he discovers then that, oh, there was a stone here. I see it now. Before I couldn't see it, this was scary.
Especially when they change the camera angle, you can easily see it.
That's like, this is retarded. That's just George Lucas stuff. That's just George Lucas doing George Lucas
Well, you
stuff.
can only do so much then.
But as a thing in your mind, it's like, well, you quitting your job to do what you want is no different. Seems so scary now. Paralyzingly scary. You're very fat. How could I ever get where I want to get? You're very weak. How could I ever get to there? Well, that's the way it always feels for everybody until you strike through the mask and find out what you really want.
And and one of the things that's come across with everyone we talk to, I mean, you still have to, step one, just move. Make a step in the direction that you want to go and keep stepping.
Action, daily action, yeah. So I took those, in the powerlifting world, I did pretty good. I got to where I got to a 975 squat, My goal was to
Hit a grand.
Get 1,000.
That
And
damn
now-
comma's heavy, man.
And now the thing I realized, and a big cosmic foot joke, was that you know what would have sent me over 1,000 to 1,100 even as a drug-free squatter? Posture, simple thing. 2 minutes before I squatted, just a little stretch, a little roll around the floor, a little attention to being, for one cycle, Chris, back off and work on just a little bit better
Yeah.
bar, and I would have smashed it.
Right.
But the curse is that you can go so far for so long with a little bad habit, even a tiny one.
Yeah, but
And
once you start getting to that real max.
And right when you're this close from the dream, you'll stop, and no amount of money and struggle will take you there because you didn't do the principle first. So anyhow, that was the lesson I took out of powerlifting. And then for years I was like, I need to shift out of this, and I'll lose weight by doing a method, like I'd cut my carbs or go paleo.
Sure.
And have a big effect. But then I'd go, I want to be strong again. I don't like
Yeah,
being
it's
weak,
always
man.
such a weird balance.
I went from like 370 to like 230 one year. Like everything got lost.
Yo, yeah.
And I was like, chicks will talk to me in a bar now.
but I'm so
That's
weak in
cool.
the gym.
But I'm like, but I can't deadlift. What if
No, but there's
what if this girl
something
finds
about
out I'm not
knowing you're strong, right.
The inner meathead, the inner guy was there, right? So the problem was I needed to prove something again. So I got back to eating like I did. And I got back up. And I chased the same ghosts. And I realized slowly now I can look back and see what was really going on. And that most young personages, percentages. I came out of, I was a young man coming out of school, very creative, very loudmouth, very different in some respects. I'm not much different. I wasn't much different than I am now.
Sure.
I got fed ADD medications.
Yeah.
I got told to shut the fuck up. I got told to sit down. I was made to feel dumb because I didn't fit in. Like, I must be the problem. Like a lot of kids, I get into school, I'm like, well, I feel this way in class. I don't feel so much that way in the gym. This feels great. I was like, getting strong. This is a safe place. I
Right.
don't feel as out of place. And I got into football and stuff, but that always wasn't as cool as lifting. Lifting was the thing. I realized I'm safe here. And I built up a lot of strength. And I felt good. And they gave me the juice to do things and get involved and accomplish in sport. But then I realized that a lot of the I'm not understood, I'm angry, I feel like I don't belong kind of feelings are there. You're still the 5-year-old kid who's being force-fed, fucking ADD medication every day in the lunch line. And I open up a little envelope, the teacher goes, here you go, here's your medication that makes you shut up and be silent so we can teach you what you need to learn so you get out and get a job.
Right.
This is a cycle. So if you're treated like that as a kid, or you're made to feel scared,
We'll try
or
to
you're
push
made to feel
everyone
not-
into the bell curve
if
instead
you're not
of.
made to feel supported, if you're different in any way, which you should be because you're an individual, you're made to feel like that's wrong. And you go out in your adult life, you don't just leave all that behind, man. That's there.
Yeah.
And then you got to realize that things you start chasing, you go like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be the strongest motherfucker anybody's ever seen. I'm going to show you. And now I can say, why did I feel the need to do that? Because I felt like no one cared, man. So that's why I was chasing so hard. And I get through the cycle of that, of failing and have my heart broke. This wasn't what I thought it would be. And you pull the weight back. You say, why was I needing to be this? What did I really want? The reason why Barbell Shrug got started is like, I could have had what I wanted, and I didn't have to. I could have also understood the roots of my motives. And I could have untied the anger. I could have undid all the damage way sooner. I could have been a teacher way quicker. This is what Travis Mash discovered too. Like
Right.
you try to be the master, like, God damn it, I'm the strongest guy here, and I know all there is to know about strength. And look at him now, joyful. Because
Yeah.
all his focus is on helping people.
Exactly.
And teaching. And what does he have anyway? Immense strength, because he's happy and at peace.
He's really strong.
Like, those lessons of like, I'm gonna be so strong and intense, I'm gonna take this so seriously, that is not correlated to your success as an athlete and your happiness as a person.
No.
So what I've slowly started realizing is if I wanted to be strong, but also not so big, and also if I wanted to be kinder to myself and understand myself, I wanted to realize that the path to that wasn't by what's the diet I should do, how should I train. Those are methods. It's like training programs. All that shit works, man. If you're just if you're being mindful about what I eat and how I train, you'll get a result. Mindfulness gives a result. But if I started by saying, I now know why I was eating too much, I now know I don't need to prove anything. My focus should be fit and capable in my body, make sure I don't damage it, make sure I optimize it, treat it kindly. And guess what? On some lifts, I'm way better now. Like front squat would have been so torturous, I'm better
Sure.
at that. I can pull better mechanics. I can do a lot better. So I've discovered a lot myself. But the first thing was like, if you can be kind to yourself, have quiet time, think about what's important to you, be still, be focused, be calm, be dedicated, have a big heart. have a fired up sense of anger and do like, you know what, fuck this is not right. But have that be root in, I'm going to use that energy to help somebody with that energy. I'm not going to beat myself up. I'm not going to try to impress somebody with what I do with a barbell with the anger. I'm going to take it. I'm going to take the hate, take whatever it is that I feel that I got to do something. And carefully say, I'm going to use that to make something great for somebody so they ain't got to feel what I felt when I was confused. So for me, if you can shift your identity and say, I don't need to prove anything. I don't need to be anything other than I am. I need to think about what's important to me. What do I really want? What will really make me happy? Do I want more quiet? I don't want to be that person. I want to be this person. Some clarity and calmness and quiet. You realize in that state, you don't eat as much. You don't grab as much. And now the conditions are set for the weight to evaporate.
Yeah,
So I was able to lose like 40 pounds like in 4 months because a lot of the conditions of the summer, which were stressful and pounding, we took a break and I've done a lot of work to put those rituals in place. That's what you need, that mindset, to make the body you want or the goal you want manifest.
And I think that's important too, is that you can, like we've talked about, it's evolving and it's coming to the realization of what your definition of strong is.
Yes.
And that doesn't have to be a total, or it can be for a while. But I think people get so infatuated on the end result that they forget that you spend so much more time on the path and in the journey to get there, that learn to fucking love the process, man. Because that's where you're going to be.
Or completely forget about the result you want.
Right.
So people think about, I got the target on the wall, man, I'm going to squat that. And it's good, but guess what, man? You're going to squat it and that number looks weak. You put a number up there, and then you always feel the need to have to go get that.
Yep.
Instead of having fun right now. And if you go, I came today to squat really well. That's what makes you a strong squatter. Not, I've got to squat 200 because my buddy did 195.
That's right.
I feel like weak. And today's workout didn't go good. I only squatted 185. Oh, fuck, man, I'm weak. You're going to break your fucking head thinking like that. And you're not that much different.
There's never an end, man.
There's a power thrower weightlifter who's snatching 400 pounds going, if I don't fucking snatch 415, fuck, you weak asshole, come on. And the rest of us are going, magnificent.
Right.
He's amazing. He must have it all. And this guy's struggling. You know,
Yeah,
people deal with that. So if you can reroute in what's important every day, be mindful, put the effort in where it matters, you can do anything.
And that's no different from training or relationships or business, to where it just seems that like if your end goal, if you come into, especially strength and fitness community, right? If you show up day one and you're like, I'm here to make money, man,
You fail.
it just isn't going to work. But if you're in it because this is your passion and you're putting out content that people can relate to, or people can, want to be more involved with you and your thoughts and your philosophy, the other part seems to take care of itself.
Mm-hmm. And because you have that, you can keep it up. Like the only thing that makes a difference between you and anybody else who want to be you is, did you just keep doing it?
Yeah.
Like you've been making posts for a long time. I remember you back in the day, you were much fatter.
Yeah, I tried.
And throwing more seriously. I think you may have been maybe in college at the time or something.
Yeah.
But you've been... You'll probably cringe at what you did then.
Of course.
But the thing is, the pilot light is there, and in 5 years, you'll be like, Matt in 2016 was a real asshole.
Oh,
That's
of course,
the nature of the game,
dude,
man.
if I don't feel, at 33 right now, if I don't feel at 38 that like, Jesus Christ, what was that guy doing? I'll be really sad.
It should be cringe fest left and right. That's
You
how
should
know
be. You
that
should be growing.
You're being led forward. That's the only thing that matters is, are you being led forward or are you going for it? If you know you should go forward and you're choosing not to, you're going to live a miserable fucking life. I don't care if you have $1 million and a granite pool.
And a Lamborghini full of blowjobs.
With 20 Brazilian girls who are always perfectly presented. And you have 5 you can name anything you want out here, dude. You'll be miserable as shit. That's just the way it works.
It's just stuff.
And if you think I'm bullshitting, put it to a test. But put a cap on it. Experiment with going after what you want for 5 years.
You take out a loan and you get a Lambo.
Take out a loan. Yeah. If you got the credit to even get that far, it'd be a fun couple of hours. But yeah, see what it's like to go for what you think is important.
It still just
make
ends up
a
being
big plan.
stuff.
Make a big plan and put your heart on it and let it fail. And then notice that in 3 months after that, you're better off because it failed. Like if you just loosen up and quit trying to enforce your will so much and realize what is cool, what can I do today? How could I help somebody?
Right.
I got an idea. It might be silly. It might be dope. It might be dramatic. Whatever. I'm going to express this. I'm going to play with it. No long-term plan. No forcing. No thoughts about am I good enough or smart enough? Am I strong enough people to take my strength training advice seriously? All that matters is if you had something to say and did you care enough to say it right, and you keep it up, it's like a little drum beat. It'll build, people will come to you. If you have something real to say, people will come. And they'll really appreciate you helping them.
And so one of the greatest things you can share with someone is some food. So it's about that time. Let's go meet up with Mike, get some grub on.
We got some good spots around here, man.
Can't wait, dude.
Cheers.
Let's do it.
Yeah.